After my alpha fiancé broke off our engagement for his first love, his alpha bros started taking turns showing up at my door to visit me. The first to arrive was Noah. I told you long ago that an alpha and a beta wouldn't end well. But seeing how pitiful you are, and since I'm still unmarried, I can reluctantly accept you. Thanks, but no thanks. I shut the door right in his face. The second was Joshua. Heard your engagement got called off? I was just passing by. Thought I'd come comfort you. Drop the act. You can't even hide the smirk on your face. I rejected him just the same. All morning, I sent away several uninvited well-wishers. Until the final visitor appeared, it was actually Phoebe's Omega first love. He went to my house to propose. I refused, so my dad kicked me out. Douglas's eyes were slightly red. Can you take me in? He's just an Omega, what bad intentions could he have? I was just about to let him in when I suddenly smelled an overwhelming pheromone. Aren't you an Omega? I took a shocked step back. Douglas smiled meaningfully. I presented again recently and turned into an enigma. Forgot to tell you. Sorry about that. Chapter 1. Why did you let Phoebe break off the engagement? Do you have any idea how much our family needs their investment right now? My father roared over the phone. Dad, I've said it many times. Phoebe is the one who wants to break it off. Even if I beg him, it's useless. I rubbed my temples, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. How is that possible? How can a relationship of so many years just end like that? You must have done something to upset him. I didn't understand why every time something went wrong, they assumed it was my fault. This time, the problem was clearly with Phoebe. I patiently explained. Phoebe has someone he likes, and he doesn't want to be with me anymore. You should know his personality. When he likes someone, he shows it directly. He didn't break off the engagement before simply because he hadn't met the right person yet. Actually, that wasn't entirely true. In the past, Phoebe just hadn't had the chance to meet his white moonlight. But now it was different. Douglas had appeared, giving him feelings he'd never experienced before, so he absolutely had to pursue it. Leslie, no matter what it takes, you have to get Phoebe to resume the marriage alliance with us. You think a beta like you, whose engagement was annulled, can find another good family? Here we go again. I've heard this countless times. It's true that I couldn't find a better match than Phoebe, but did they not realize that from the very beginning? No one thought highly of our engagement? An alpha and a beta, anyone with eyes could see it was a mismatch. But they didn't care about any of that. They only cared about what they could wring out of Phoebe. I'm not going. I can't afford to lose any more face. If there's nothing else. Before I could finish, there was urgent knocking at the door, as if they wouldn't stop until I opened it. I had no choice but to hold my phone, listening to my father's scolding, while walking over to answer it. As soon as I opened the door, I regretted it. Standing there was Noah, Phoebe's alpha best bro, and the person who hated me the most. Whenever Phoebe and I appeared together, Noah would always find a chance to mock me. This time, he probably heard my engagement was off and came specifically to laugh at me. What are you doing here? If you're here to mock me, you can leave right now. Just looking at your face, I can guess what you're going to say. I moved to shut the door, but Noah reached out and blocked it. The tips of his ears were red, and he stammered a bit. Did you and Phoebe really break off the engagement? You guys are best bros. How could you not know? I retorted. Hearing my answer, Noah visibly let out a breath of relief, his whole body relaxing. He adjusted his clothes and hair, looked at me with what he thought was a deep, affectionate gaze, and said in an incredibly arrogant tone, I told you long ago that alphas and betas don't end well. But seeing how pitiful you are, and since I'm still unmarried, I can reluctantly be with you. Thanks, but no thanks. Noah's face was full of disbelief. You're rejecting me? You actually dare to reject me? Yes, I reject you. Now please leave. I slammed the door shut. Disgusting. Did he realize his past mockery didn't work, so he switched tactics? I'd have to be an idiot to fall for it. The phone call had already disconnected. I was just about to dial back when the knocking sounded again. This time it was Joshua, another alpha from Phoebe's inner circle. He was a bit more tactful than Noah. I heard your engagement was called off? I was just passing by and thought I'd come comfort you. Can I come in? Stop holding it in. You can barely hide that smirk on your face, I said coldly. What was wrong with these people? When I was by Phoebe's side, they treated me terribly. Now that I've been dumped, they've all suddenly become weird. I didn't believe they were serious. Like Noah said, what good could come of an alpha and a beta? When an alpha's rut comes, what can a beta do besides hand them suppressants? They were definitely playing a prank on me. But that thought completely wavered after I sent away the sixth alpha. Couldn't be that all of Phoebe's alpha bros agreed to come confess to me today, right? How bored would someone have to be to come up with such a wicked trick? Just as I was hesitating whether to ask Phoebe what the hell was going on, a seventh knock sounded. This knock was exceptionally gentle. I had been tormented so much I had lost my temper. If you're also here to say something like, seeing how pitiful you are, I can reluctantly be with you, you can leave right now. The words got stuck in my throat. Standing at the door wasn't one of Phoebe's alpha bros, but his omega first love, Douglas. He had a faint smile on his lips, but his eyes carried a hint of sorrow. Hi, Leslie. I got kicked out by my family and have nowhere to go. Can you take me in for a bit? Douglas was incredibly beautiful, the kind of pretty that transcended gender. No wonder he was the white moonlight in the hearts of so many alphas. It's just that he rarely made public appearances, and he had gone straight abroad a few years ago. But an elusive first love who goes abroad only makes people yearn for them more. So even while he was far away, he was constantly brought up in their circles, especially by Noah's crowd, who always used him to mock me. But I wasn't angry, and I certainly didn't blame Douglas. After all, he had no idea about the entanglement between us. And right now, his situation was actually a bit like mine. Phoebe went to my house to propose. My dad wanted to say yes, but I didn't want to, so he told me to get out. Now I have nowhere to go, and I wouldn't dare go to the homes of those alphas. Douglas kept his head down as he spoke, his slender, graceful neck exposed, making one involuntarily feel pity. He was just an omega, a homeless omega at that. And I, Leslie, though not particularly strong, was at least a beta. What out-of-control thing could possibly happen? Nothing would. He was just a fragile, pitiful omega. Come in, then. I stepped aside to clear the doorway, completely missing the flash of cunning and triumph that crossed Douglas's eyes. Chapter 2. I originally thought Douglas wouldn't have much luggage, but when I saw his several large suitcases, I was dumbfounded. It didn't look like he had been kicked out. It looked more like he had carefully packed up and moved out. Because I just returned to the country recently, I hadn't had the time to unpack a lot of things. I didn't expect it to actually be convenient this time. I felt awful. I couldn't believe I was speculating about him with such thoughts. How could Douglas possibly lie? I hurriedly waved my hands and said, "It's fine, it's fine." After helping Douglas carry all the suitcases inside, I pointed him to a room. My place isn't big, and the guest room is small. It definitely can't compare to your house. If you don't mind, just stay here for now. Suddenly, my face was touched. I subconsciously took 2 steps back. I saw the omega in front of me raise his finger, a bit of dust on the tip. You had some dirt on your face. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. I touched my face awkwardly, feeling a bit flushed, especially where the omega had just touched me. It's fine. It's already wonderful that you're willing to take me in. After all, we aren't exactly close. And because of me, your engagement with Phoebe was called off. I should be the one apologizing to you. No, it has nothing to do with you. Even if it wasn't because of you, he would have broken off the engagement. Phoebe never had any feelings for me anyway. I walked over to the sofa and sat down, no obvious sorrow on my face. After all these years, I had long been prepared for this. You and Phoebe were engaged for so many years. Did you never think about cultivating feelings for each other? Actually, at the very beginning, I had thought about it. From childhood to adulthood, everyone told me to take good care of Phoebe because I would be his partner in the future. I thought that growing up together and accompanying each other, we couldn't possibly have zero feelings. So yes, I really did think about it. But after Phoebe found out, he strictly warned me. He told me not to have such unrealistic delusions. I'm just a beta. Do you think he would be interested in me? I actually knew a long time ago that he had no feelings for me, and even hated me. But he needed me to appease his family, so I cooperated with him, and he cooperated with me, creating the illusion that we had a great relationship. In reality, we just had a completely ordinary relationship. It wasn't even as good as his relationship with his best bros. It doesn't matter. Maybe this is an opportunity heaven has given you. If he hadn't initiated the breakup, you would have suffered even more later. That was indeed true. We were both adults, and our families had been discussing marriage over the past 2 years. But Phoebe vetoed all of it. He said he hadn't reached the age for marriage yet and wasn't in a rush. So the matter was dropped. Thinking about it now, Douglas and I were in the same boat. Both of us had fallen out with our families because of Phoebe, and his situation was even worse than mine. Having just returned to the country, he didn't know many people and couldn't even find a place to stay. So he had to come to me. It was truly pitiful. You're right. Maybe this is a turning point. A turning point for my life to get better. Douglas nodded and smiled gently. Worthy of being the Omega White Moonlight to Phoebe. Every move he made was captivating. If I wasn't a beta, I definitely would have liked a beauty like Douglas too. But if I wasn't a beta, he wouldn't have come to find me now. While Douglas was unpacking his luggage, my dad called again. It was the same old rhetoric, complaining about how hard his life was, how unfilial I was, and saying that the family company was on the verge of bankruptcy. He said I would end up wandering the streets. In reality, the family company wasn't nearly as bad as he made it out to be. Funds were just a bit tight. But my dad is the type of person who imagines the worst-case scenario at the slightest sign of trouble. That's why he was so anxious. When I hung up and returned to the living room, Douglas was sitting on the sofa, looking at me with a worried expression. Did something happen at home? I briefly told him what was going on. Since I didn't have many friends, there were very few people I could talk to. Even though I didn't know Douglas that well, seeing him made me really want to confide in him. Maybe this was the natural affinity of an Omega? Actually, I can help you. You? Yes. Even though I was kicked out by my family, I met some friends abroad. One of them is interested in your family company's line of business. I can connect you guys. Hearing Douglas's words, I became completely thrilled. I knew an Omega couldn't have any bad intentions, especially a beautiful Omega like Douglas. Thank you so much. I lunged forward and hugged Douglas. He smelled so good. Douglas rested his hand on my back and patted me gently. As long as it helps you. Just as I was feeling moved, I suddenly felt something hard pressing against me where our bodies met. A belt? Confused, I reached out my hand to feel it, asking at the same time, "Is your belt really that hard? It's poking me." Before my hand could even touch it, Douglas grabbed my wrist. The tips of his ears had become bright red at some point. So red they looked like they were bleeding. His voice was exceptionally low and hoarse. "And nothing. I'm going to go unpack my things now, see you later." I thought Douglas was perhaps just saying it casually, but to my surprise, I received a message from my dad the very next day saying the marriage alliance was no longer needed. Someone had already invested in us. I knew it had to be Douglas's friend. I wanted to thank him and do something to treat him. But who knew Douglas wouldn't let me lift a finger? Because his cooking was simply too delicious. I don't really cook myself. Maybe I lack the natural talent for it because no matter how much I try to learn, I just can't get it. But Douglas was different. When he cooked, it looked like he was enjoying it. Every movement was incredibly graceful. "I really wonder which alpha will have the good fortune in the future," I muttered softly while eating the food Douglas made. "Does it have to be an alpha?" I froze for a moment. "Can it be a beta?" He didn't give a direct answer, just cast me a half smile. "Who knows? How is that possible? Betas don't have pheromones and can't provide any help during an Omega's heat. Even if they force themselves to be together, could a beta partner truly endure the agony the Omega goes through during every heat cycle?" Before I could figure it out, Douglas suddenly touched my hand. "If you weren't a beta, would you want to marry me?" Douglas looked at me with bright eyes, and as soon as I looked up, I fell right into his gaze. I would. Who wouldn't? No matter who it is, they probably wouldn't be able to resist someone like Douglas. I'm not an immortal. Naturally, I'm no exception. That's good. You don't have to worry about me falling for any alpha. No alpha can move my heart. As far as I'm concerned, none of them can compare to you. Douglas was really good at comforting people. But I wasn't stupid. I couldn't just believe whatever he said. How could no alpha compare to a beta like me? He was only saying these things because he was living at my place right now. But I didn't mind too much. I still happily waited for Douglas to cook every day. I did, however, ask around for news about Phoebe. After all, if he really wanted to be with Douglas, he would definitely use every means possible, and might even do something extreme. But the news I got was that Phoebe had gone abroad recently. Apparently, there was a problem with a project, and he had to go handle it personally. Everything was truly that coincidental. But this was a good thing for me. This way, he wouldn't bother me and he wouldn't bother Douglas. A win-win situation. But I never expected to receive a message from Phoebe. Thinking about it, it wasn't surprising. After all, since I occasionally went out with Douglas, people would bump into us. Everyone was in the same circle, so word would naturally spread and eventually reach Phoebe's ears. Phoebe, you and Douglas are living together? You're cohabitating? What is your relationship? Before I had time to reply, another message from Phoebe popped up. Are you together with him? Looking at the words on the screen, I couldn't help but curl my lip. I wish. After half a month of living together, I knew Douglas's goodness best. He was simply the perfect candidate for a partner. He actively cleaned the house every day and made a variety of delicious meals to feed me. When I stayed up late drawing design drafts, he would silently prepare a late-night snack. He was even professional at giving massages. Who wouldn't love a person like this? But I knew I was just a beta. I was completely unworthy of Douglas. I didn't reply to Phoebe because Douglas had already told me that there was absolutely nothing going on between him and Phoebe. They hadn't even met that many times. It had always been Phoebe's one-sided, unrequited feelings. When Douglas said this, his face was full of disdain for Phoebe. So now, my impression of Phoebe had also worsened. I blocked him directly. We never had any feelings for each other anyway. Now that even our business entanglement was gone, there was no use keeping him around. Chapter 3. This bar was recently opened by a friend of mine. Haven't you been really anxious about drawing your designs lately? Come out and relax a bit. Douglas brought me into the bar. The decor was exquisite, and the music wasn't too loud. The patrons all looked respectable. It seemed like a proper place. You're right. I have been a bit anxious lately. I sat across from Douglas, looking at his face. No matter how many times I looked at it, my heart still fluttered. Have you contacted your family recently? Has their anger subsided? The smile on Douglas's face faded slightly. Do you feel like I'm bothering you too much? If so, I can move out. Hey, no, that's not what I meant at all. Just as I was about to explain, someone suddenly patted my shoulder. Turning around, I saw the two annoying faces of Noah and Joshua, and I instantly became irritated. The two of them had their arms around each other's shoulders. It was obvious they were up to no good. What are you guys doing here? Noah looked at me first, then at Douglas. Why are you with him? Stay away from him. Saying that, he reached out to pull me. I had just drunk 2 glasses of alcohol, and my head was a bit dizzy. Being yanked by him, I almost fell over. Are you guys sick in the head? I swatted Noah's hand away and took the opportunity to stand in front of Douglas, blocking their line of sight. I'm doing this for your own good. Do you even know what kind of person Douglas is? And you're cozying up to him? How could I not know? I'm already living with him. How could I not know? You're actually living with him? Leslie, are you stupid? I was speechless. Who I live with is none of their business. I have nothing to do with Phoebe anymore. So why are these people still hounding me? Joshua stopped Noah and put on an act of caring about me. Leslie, we really are doing this for your own good. Do you truly understand him? One look and you can tell he's harboring bad intentions. What bad intentions could an Omega possibly have? It's clearly you alphas who have twisted minds. Suddenly, the Omega behind me leaned forward, wrapping his arms around my waist and pressing his entire body against mine. He rested his chin on my shoulder. His tone sounded incredibly aggrieved. But from an angle I couldn't see, he gave the 2 men in front of him a provocative smile. Exactly, Leslie is right. What bad intentions could a poor Omega like me possibly have? I had never been this close to Douglas before. Being suddenly hugged by him, I felt my whole body grow hot, especially the hands he had wrapped around my waist. I could feel his body heat against my cheek. Too close. My already dizzy brain couldn't process anything anymore. His voice just now sounded so nice. It made a person's heart itch. The scent on Douglas was also pleasant. Much better than these alphas. What bad intentions could he possibly have? He just wanted me to live a slightly better life, that's all. Leslie, don't let him fool you. He's much more scheming than you think. You guys are the scheming ones, right? Noah looked like he was about to lose his temper. I was already prepared to grab Douglas and run. When this guy gets angry, it's scary. I couldn't let him hurt Douglas. You're inviting a wolf into the house. He doesn't have any ulterior motives towards me. How is that inviting a wolf into the house? It's not like beta-omega relationships don't exist nowadays. He's just lusting after your body. I froze. Then I looked at them suspiciously. Is there something wrong with your brains? How could Douglas possibly be interested in a beta like me? Before, you all thought it was impossible for me and an alpha, and now you think it's possible for me and an omega. Sure enough, they were just here to pick a fight on purpose. I had seen through their tricks a long time ago. When I was by Phoebe's side, they acted like this. Now that I'm friends with Douglas, they are still acting like this. I was truly getting angry. Enough, I don't want to listen to your nonsense. Anyway, I get it now. You guys just can't stand seeing me do well. I really don't understand. Why do you have such huge malice towards me? If you don't like me, just pretend you don't see me. Why do you have to get in my face? From now on, let's just treat each other as strangers. After saying that, I ignored them. I grabbed Douglas's hand and walked straight out of the bar, complaining as we walked. Don't you think they're psychos? Actually thinking you would like me. How could such a wonderful omega like you possibly be interested in a beta like me? Who knows? Hearing Douglas's airy words, my left foot nearly tripped over my right, almost sending me face first into the ground. Thankfully, Douglas had quick reflexes and caught me, saving me from making a fool of myself. Thanks a lot. I patted my chest, still shaken, and completely forgot about the implication of his previous sentence. Actually, I think they might like Phoebe. Douglas's hand still hadn't moved away from my waist. Hearing this, he raised an eyebrow. Look, before I broke off the engagement with Phoebe, they targeted me. Now that I've broken off the engagement and Phoebe likes you, they've started attacking you. So they must like Phoebe, which is why they want to drive everyone around him away. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I felt like I had discovered the absolute truth. Otherwise, there was truly no way to explain why they targeted the two of us. Douglas didn't seem to agree with my speculation. He looked at me with a peculiar gaze. Have you ever thought that they might be? He stopped mid-sentence. Might be what? I pressed. Douglas seemed like he had something to say, but after meeting my gaze, he changed his mind. Nothing. Your guess is right. They must like Phoebe, which is why they treat us this way. Stay away from them from now on. I think so too. Definitely staying far away from them from now on. As I followed Douglas down the steps, my legs suddenly went soft. Just as I was about to fall again, he scooped me right back up. It was so embarrassing. How could I almost fall twice in such a short amount of time in front of the same person? My cerebellum development should be perfectly fine. However, resting against Douglas's chest actually felt quite comfortable. There was a question I had always wanted to ask him. Douglas, you're clearly an omega. How come you're taller than an alpha? The cold wind blew past, and the drunkenness I had just suppressed surged back up. It's true that people get bolder when they've had too much to drink. My hand actually boldly landed on his pectoral muscle, and I even gave it a squeeze. Douglas, you have a really great body. How do you train? It's even better than Phoebe's. Douglas didn't stop me. The arm around my waist didn't even loosen. Stimulated by my touch, he let out a muffled grunt, his tones seemingly carrying a hint of jealousy. Better than his? You've felt his before. No, I can just tell by looking. One glance and you can see he's not as capable as you. I completely failed to realize how audacious my behavior was. Nor did I notice that the skin beneath my hand was growing hotter and hotter, and Douglas's breathing was becoming heavier and heavier. Just as the tension in the atmosphere reached its peak, a thunderous interrogation rang out. What are you two doing? Startled by the shout, my already muddled brain completely gave out, and my whole body went limp in Douglas's arms. But that voice sounded a bit familiar. After calming down, I peeked out, and sure enough, I saw Phoebe standing not far away. He was wearing a suit and tie, looking as if he had just returned from abroad. I originally wanted to just leave. I had nothing to say to him. But thinking of the speculation Douglas and I had just discussed, I pushed Douglas away and stumbled over to Phoebe. Ignoring his gloomy expression, I nervously warned him. You need to be careful of the people around you. Some people pretend they want to be your bros, but in reality, they want to be your lovers. Leslie, what nonsense are you spouting? I'm not spouting nonsense. Your bros definitely all like you. Otherwise, why have they been targeting me all these years? And you, Phoebe, just pretended not to see it. Well, whatever. We have no relationship anymore. And I never have to tolerate you guys again. I was emotionally agitated and could barely stand steady. The next second, I was pulled into someone's embrace. Douglas wrapped his arm around me and suddenly reached out to cover my eyes. We're going home. Okay, let's go home. But before going home, I still had to humiliate Phoebe a little bit. I walked up to him and patted his shoulder. Watch your ass. Then, before Phoebe could explode with anger, I grabbed Douglas and hurried away. I laughed happily on the way back, unable to hold it in whenever I thought of Phoebe's expression just now. Very happy? Douglas rubbed my wrist, leaning very close to me. Still unsatisfied, I shifted my body to sit even closer. I looked up at him, my eyes shining brightly like a little puppy. Happy? Actually, I've wanted to do that for a long time, but my dad wouldn't let me. They were afraid I would offend Phoebe. Not afraid anymore? Not afraid anymore. It has nothing to do with me anyway, and it's impossible for us to ever get married. My head was spinning more and more. Right before I completely fell asleep, I heard Douglas ask, "Then who do you want to marry?" Who did I answer? I think it was Douglas. Chapter 4. Hiss, my head hurts. My eyes hurt, and my mouth hurts too. Wait, why does my mouth hurt? I quickly climbed out of bed and ran to the bathroom to look in the mirror, only to find a small cut on the corner of my mouth. How did that happen? You accidentally bumped into the wall when you came back last night. Douglas suddenly spoke up, startling me so much I almost bumped into the mirror. I lowered my hand and gave him an awkward smile. I remembered everything from last night, including touching his pecs and flirting with him. It's weird to say, but other than Douglas's face, which made me feel like he was an omega, you couldn't tell from anywhere else. After all, omegas aren't usually this tall or have such a great physique. But he wouldn't lie to me, right? There wouldn't be much point in deceiving me anyway. I didn't offend you last night, did I? A hint of a smile flashed in Douglas's eyes. Without answering directly, he simply said, "You should drink less in the future. Your tolerance is too low." Sure enough, he was disgusted with me. He was definitely dissatisfied with my behavior yesterday. If it were me, I might have moved out overnight after encountering something like that. So I had no excuses and obediently agreed. What I didn't know was that the culprit behind the cut on my mouth was actually the man standing right in front of me. It was just that I truly couldn't remember what happened later. After the incident at the bar, life returned to normal. Neither Noah nor Joshua sent me any more messages. I don't know if Phoebe was provoked by my words that day, but he seemed even less willing to see me now. That suited me just fine, though. I didn't want to see him anyway. The only thing that worried me a little was that Douglas had been getting too close to me lately. Anyone who didn't know better would think we were conjoined twins. He followed me no matter what I did, and he wouldn't dress properly at home, always coming out of the shower wearing only a towel. While I admitted he had a great body, I was a beta after all. How could he act like this in front of someone of a different gender? After seeing this a few times, I couldn't help but try to wrap my own bathrobe around him. As a result, the bathrobe couldn't be pulled tight at all, not even covering his pecs. It looked like he was trying to cover it up but only making it more obvious, which made the imagination run even wilder. Don't you like it? You clearly said you liked it very much the night you got drunk. Douglas's voice sounded innocent, as if he was doing this purely to please me. I closed my eyes and painfully refused. I don't like it. You don't? All right then, maybe I guessed wrong. Yeah, I don't like it. Then I won't do it next time. But could you take your hand off my chest first? So embarrassing. I felt like I didn't even have the face to look at Douglas anymore. If I didn't have nowhere else to go, I would move out right now. However, Douglas didn't seem to mind, still warmly greeting me at dinner. He suddenly brought something up. Did you block all of Phoebe's friends? Huh? Was I supposed to block them? Of course. None of them are good people. After how they bullied you before, of course you should block them. Douglas made a good point. So I took out my phone and blocked all of Phoebe's friends. The world was peaceful again. It was just that I couldn't quite understand why they all called each other bad people. Who exactly was the real bad guy? In the blink of an eye, Douglas and I had been living together for 2 months. The house was filled with our things. At first glance, it almost looked like we were married. I knew Douglas would move out one day. I just didn't know exactly which day it would be. What surprised me the most was that Noah and Joshua actually showed up at my company. This time they didn't come to mock me, but to apologize. I'm sorry, Leslie. Noah spoke first. Actually, we didn't target you on purpose. We just felt that you and Phoebe weren't suitable for each other. He didn't like you at all, but you know our relationship with Phoebe. If we said it directly, it would definitely affect everyone's relationship. I didn't say anything, waiting for them to continue. So we came up with this method, hoping you would recognize reality sooner so you could find true happiness after separating. But we really did do wrong. Can you forgive us? To be honest, I didn't really blame them. I didn't even care much about Phoebe, let alone them. Got it. I accept your apology. You can leave now. Noah didn't move and Joshua also stood his ground. Since you've forgiven us, can you take us off your block list? Oh right, I had blocked them. I unblocked them right in front of their faces, and the two of them finally breathed a sigh of relief. Noah had something to do and left first, but Joshua stayed behind. He said he wanted to discuss a collaboration with me. He had bought a new house and wanted to hire me to design the interior. I naturally wouldn't refuse business delivered right to my door. But as we chatted, he shifted the topic to Douglas. So he's just staying at your place temporarily? You guys don't have any special relationship. Yeah, it's all because of Phoebe, otherwise he wouldn't have been kicked out. Even though it has nothing to do with me, I still took him in. I didn't know if it was my imagination, but upon hearing this, Joshua visibly brightened up. How strange. Then you don't like Douglas either? I looked at him weirdly. Do you guys just assume anyone who hangs out together is a couple? You spend all day with Noah? Does that mean you like him? I actually didn't say that I did have feelings for Douglas. I just felt we weren't suitable for each other. He should find a better alpha, not an ordinary beta like me. No, just asking out of curiosity. Joshua hurriedly waved his hands. Actually, you don't need to worry either. Since Douglas doesn't like Phoebe, I'll introduce him to a better alpha later. That way, his relationship with his family can ease up too. I thought about it and agreed. Although Phoebe had good conditions, he attracted too much romantic attention and might cheat in the future. Douglas deserved the best alpha. If you're going to introduce someone, let me screen them first. I won't be at ease otherwise. Deal. Chapter 5. Which alpha did you meet with? As soon as I got home, before I even took off my coat, Douglas frowned and asked me, Huh? Oh, Noah and Joshua came looking for me today. They apologized, saying they didn't target me on purpose before. They just wanted to remind me that Phoebe and I weren't a good match, and even if we stayed together, it wouldn't last. I took off my coat and asked in confusion, How did you know I met with an alpha? Leslie, you're covered in the scent of an alpha. Douglas's tone was somewhat stiff. Did you guys do anything intimate? Before I could answer, he added, Sorry, I'm not trying to pry into your privacy. It's just that the alpha pheromones are affecting me a little. No wonder he didn't look well. I hastily took 2 steps back. I'm sorry. I didn't think their scent would rub off on me. You know, betas can't smell alpha pheromones. Douglas nodded, but his brow remained furrowed. I'll go take a shower right now and wash the smell off. Okay. After coming out of the shower, I couldn't help but keep thinking about this. Maybe I should move out. Why? My work inevitably requires me to deal with alphas. This kind of situation will definitely happen often in the future. If it constantly affects you, that's not good. Douglas put down his chopsticks. It's fine. It might just be because my heat is approaching, making me especially sensitive to alpha pheromones. If you find me troublesome, I can move out. No, I don't feel affected at all. Although we were considerate of each other, I couldn't help but feel that continuing like this wasn't a solution. Before I could come up with a countermeasure, work got busy. Noah also bought a house and asked me to design it. Both of them offered a high design fee and had high demands. I ran to their places every day, spending less and less time at home. Sometimes when it was too late, I would eat out with Noah and the others. At those times, Douglas would always call to ask when I was coming home. Every time, Noah would lean over and say sarcastically, "He's not your boyfriend or anything. Why is he calling every day to rush you? Since he's just a roommate, he should know his place. Asking too much will only make people annoyed." Although I didn't know why he was so hostile toward Douglas, I subconsciously defended him. "How can you say that? He's calling because he cares about me. If you keep acting like this, I won't take your order." Okay, it's my fault. I won't say it anymore, alright? Let's eat." I turned my head and said goodbye to Douglas on the phone. "Do you want me to come pick you up?" "No need. It's so late. It's not safe for an Omega like you to go out alone. I can head back by myself." Despite saying that, when I finished drinking and came out to see Douglas, I couldn't help but feel happy. I shook off Noah's hand and rushed over. Because I used too much force, I crashed right into his chest. Douglas didn't push me away. Instead, he hugged me tightly. "Didn't I tell you not to drink outside? I only drank a little bit. Don't be angry, okay?" Douglas pinched my cheek. "I'll teach you a lesson when we get back." I thought the so-called lesson was just talk, but after returning home, I realized that wasn't the case. Douglas's actions were very strange. He normally wouldn't get this close to me. Now he was so close that if I just tilted my head up, I could kiss his lips. "Why do you have to meet with them? They are my clients. Do you like them?" "No, I don't like alphas." Douglas seemed to chuckle, but I didn't hear it clearly. "Then what do you like?" I like. "Do you like me?" I squinted at him, wanting to nod, but then I thought of the gap between us and shook my head vigorously. "No, I don't like you. I like betas." Douglas seemed angry. The force with which he gripped my wrist hurt a little. "You don't like me?" I was just about to say I didn't like him again when the next second, my mouth was blocked by his kiss, and I couldn't say a single word. My intoxication vanished. I was completely sober. Just as I was about to question why he kissed me, he spoke first. "Do you truly not like me? Or do you just think we're not a good match?" Since he asked like that, there was no need for me to hide it anymore. "Right, we're not a good match. You're an Omega. I'm a Beta. There won't be any result if we're together, and I can't make you pregnant. It's impossible for me to get pregnant anyway." "Huh?" I looked at him in confusion. A smirk curled the corners of Douglas's mouth. "Why?" He leaned over, pressing down on me, pinning me firmly against the sofa. He leaned close to my ear, his tone ambiguous and triumphant. "Baby, didn't they tell you? I haven't been an Omega for a long time. I presented as an enigma when I was abroad, so I can't get pregnant." My brain was a bit slow to process. The next second, his hand pressed against my stomach. He rubbed it gently. "Although I can't get pregnant, if I work hard, it's not impossible to make you pregnant." Wait, is this for real? So he just relied on the fact that I couldn't smell pheromones to deceive me like this? Actually, Douglas lying to me didn't make me particularly angry. What made me angry was that I was so stupid. I had lived with him for so long and hadn't noticed a single thing wrong. I angrily tried to push him away, but even using all my strength, the person on top of me didn't budge an inch. He even effortlessly controlled both my hands, pinning them above my head. Right now, I was completely at his mercy. I finally understood why they said I was inviting a wolf into the house. Wasn't this exactly inviting a wolf into the house? Just because I'm an enigma, do you not like me anymore? I'm still me. I haven't turned into someone else. I didn't want to speak, but Douglas was determined to force it out of me. "Do you dare say your heart hasn't fluttered for me?" I didn't dare say it, because my heart had fluttered. But this was clearly all his seduction. Thinking about it now, all his teasing behavior from before was actually intentional. Wasn't it? I was wondering why he suddenly came looking for me. His family was so rich. Even if he stayed in a hotel, it would have been fine. But he just had to come to me for shelter. Sure enough, I was an idiot. Leslie, I like you. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Even if you were an alpha or an omega, I would still like you. But people will gossip. Just like they said alphas and betas wouldn't last. Would an enigma and a beta last? Douglas kissed the corner of my mouth. Do you believe me? Believe that I can protect you well. I will make sure those gossiping people can't utter a single word. Douglas did indeed have that capability. While I was hesitating, he suddenly grabbed my hand. He placed it on his pectoral muscle and slid it all the way down. Are you sure you want to let someone else do this to me? Do you think you can find a better partner than me? Baby, if you miss out on the right person, you might never meet them again. Since you like me, don't miss out. Don't you agree? My fingers couldn't help but tighten and grip. I swallowed hard. Too tempting. How was I supposed to resist this? My head was spinning. I nodded and said yes. The next second, the enigma's kiss landed heavily, pressing down so hard I couldn't breathe. Facts proved that Douglas had probably been holding back for way too long recently. I don't know how long that kiss lasted. When he finally let go of me, I felt like I was about to suffocate. Why do you like me? Douglas held me in his arms. Maybe you don't remember, but when you went abroad for an event before, I saw you. Unfortunately, before I could get to know you, you had already left. We had met, felt highly unlikely. If I had seen him, how could I have no impression of him? You were on stage at the time. Many people were looking at you, watching you, and I was one of them. It's totally normal that you didn't notice me. Actually, not necessarily. I was just very nervous when I stood on stage. So not noticing him was a very normal thing. Baby, you don't actually think you're truly ordinary, do you? Don't you know that many people around you secretly have a crush on you? Many people? Isn't it just you? Douglas chuckled and rubbed my wrist. It was a little red from being gripped by him just now. He laughed softly. It's a good thing you're oblivious. And also a good thing those alphas couldn't put aside their pride to pursue you. Your ex-fiancé and those bros around him, they actually all like you. You didn't know? I sat straight up from Douglas's embrace in shock. So when they came to my door knowing my engagement was called off, they weren't there to mock me? They genuinely wanted to confess to me? But what kind of decent person confesses like that? Whatever. Who cares who likes me or not? Just like you said, they couldn't let go of their pride and didn't dare to pursue me openly. So naturally, they didn't like me that much. I lay back down in Douglas's arms. I felt that he was still the best. That's good. It's a good thing you didn't realize their intentions. Yeah, otherwise what chance would you have had? I asked Douglas how he knew who I was back then and why he didn't come find me. He expressed that he still had a strong moral compass at the time. Knowing I already had a fiancé, he couldn't do something like stealing someone else's partner. So you have no morals now? Yeah. One night, I suddenly figured it out. I felt that besides me, no one else could give you happiness. So I flew back to the country overnight. So Phoebe suddenly breaking off the engagement was also intentionally engineered by Douglas, right? I have to say, this person was quite terrifying. He used all his scheming on me. Chapter 6. After Douglas and I got together, he helped me turn down the design orders from Noah and Joshua. He even went to talk to them personally. When he came back, he was in extremely high spirits. Using this as an excuse, he asked for a reward, the reward being moving into my bedroom. Sure enough, he was too scheming. As for Phoebe, who knows when his brain suddenly short-circuited, but he started messaging me from different numbers, saying that he actually still liked me, saying that he was tricked by Douglas, which was why he broke off the engagement. He also said that he never actually liked Douglas to begin with. He just felt that his significant other shouldn't be a beta, which was why he treated me that way. He said he wanted to talk to me, meet up and talk. But I didn't agree. I only replied with one message. Even if it weren't for him, it would be impossible for me to ever like you. So let's just leave it at that. Stop bothering me. Phoebe refused to give up. So he came to my house looking for me. But he didn't find me, because I was currently accompanying Douglas through his susceptible period. Rut. Betas don't have pheromones. But Douglas didn't care at all, because he didn't need them either. But I truly couldn't handle him anymore. He messaged you again. Is your heart softening? I tugged at his hair. I felt like this guy was getting jealous again. Whenever my phone received a message from Phoebe, he would ask this question. If my heart was softening, do you think I'd still be here right now? True. But even if your heart did soften, I wouldn't let you out to see him. Even if he did let me out, there was no way. Just look at the state I'm in right now. How much longer do you think your rut is going to last? Douglas kissed the palm of my hand. Tired. What do you think? Although a beta's physical stamina is indeed a bit better than an omega's, it's not meant for this kind of torment. I've spent these past few days entirely in the bedroom. This guy completely had no intention of letting me rest. Enough. I really wanted to inject him with a suppressant. It's still not enough, baby. You understand me far too little. Douglas picked me up and pressed me against the window. He tilted my chin up to look at the person downstairs. It was Phoebe. He was standing right next to his car, looking at my house. Although I knew it was impossible for him to see us, I still couldn't help but feel nervous. That's how useless trash is. Even when given a chance, he couldn't grasp it, and now he wants to win you back. Do you think he's stupid, baby? Douglas absolutely insisted on forcing an answer out of me. I could only force out one word. Stupid. If only I had been the one engaged to you back then. We would have been together long ago. Aren't we already together now? It's not enough. In front of one's lover, a person will always become greedier. I rejoiced that I met Douglas. And I rejoiced that things were completely over with Phoebe. Although fate arrived late, it came eventually. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.